Hi everybody, thanks for coming to see Project 2. We're going to make an Udu drum today. And first off, I'm going to send you over to my husband Steve's studio. And once again, he's going to talk to you about the history. It's really interesting of Udu drums and show you how to play one. And then I will come back here and I'll show you how to make one out of clay.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's week 2 and we have a second project for this week. And it is the Udu pot. Udu. U-D-U. There's a little history behind this. The Udu drum originated from the tribe in Nigeria in Africa. Unlike other percussion instruments, the Udu drum was invented and developed by the women of the Igbo people from clay pots. That's what you're going to make, a clay pot. A clay pot. In fact, Udu pot means pot in that language. Udu means pot. These clay pots are used to carry and store water from the river to their homes. Although the Udu looks like an exotic instrument, it's really a part of their way of life. They can carry grain or water in that. And so it's a good nesting place for bees. And so the function of a Udu is a household item as well as a percussion instrument. So it's not, the Udu was used for women's ceremonies and rites. Eventually, the Udu was developed into a Latin percussion instrument, or even for reggae or other music. So it's an interesting percussion instrument that you can just use in any type of music you want. And there's many sounds that come from this. One problem with this pot in particular, though, you're going to want to make your rim a little smaller than this, and you'll get a better tone. So you've got two holes, one top hole, one bottom hole, and they both make a little different sound. If you cover this one, so there's lots of ways you can play this, and there's lots of ways you can play this. So here we go. Let's get a little rhythm going here, a little reggae. And you can cover the hole here, cover this thumb hole, and hey. So you can tap it, you can over the hole, and you can change the pitch in it by covering it more with your hand. So check this out. We hold it like this. So it's an interesting instrument that you're going to make. So you're going to have fun with this. So really looking forward to seeing what you come up with and being able to hear this. So have fun on your project, and we'll see you next time.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, so we're going to learn how to make an Udu drum today, but before we start, I wanted to go over some clay tips because several of us had some challenges this week with our clay drying out. And so I wanted to talk to everyone about that first. So I'm just going to kind of read through some of my notes that I have here. Okay, so the clay dries out, as some of you have found out. The clay dries out even when it's in the plastic. So you don't want it, when it's left out in the air, it'll just automatically dry out. There's moisture in the clay and it evaporates. And so you don't want to leave like the kit that you pick up, you don't want to leave it in your car for any length of time. You want to, as soon as you get it home, you want to take it into your house. Don't leave it in your garage, and don't put it by an air conditioner vent because it will dry out, even in the plastic. If you take it out of and the reason you always want to leave it in the plastic. So some of you did it right away, the project, and some of you waited till the weekend, which is fine. But what you're going to want to do if you are going to wait, you're going to want to kind of prepare your clay a little bit. So when you go like on Friday or Saturday to make your Udu drum, it won't be all dried out for you. Okay? Okay, so you'll get clay again wrapped in plastic. So I'm going to show you how to keep your clay moist. So once again, always wrap your clay in plastic. So you're going to have a lump of clay. And so what you'll want to do is, if it dries out, okay, right now this isn't that dry, but let's say it was. If it would dry out, you would want to poke holes in it with your finger. See how I'm poking holes? And then I have a cup of water. Always want to use warm water. Cold water doesn't work well with clay. I don't really know why, but you always want it to be warm water. So now I'm just putting some water with my finger into those holes. Okay, not a lot. You never want to use too much water. And then I'm going to kind of squish it around and knead it. This is called wedging. So you're just going to kind of squish it around, and then you're going to start wedging your clay, which is just like kneading dough. So you're just going to, as you can see, I'm just kneading it, and it's soft again. Okay? So that's all you do is poke holes, put some warm water in there, and wedge it all up. Okay, that's if it gets dry. Then what you can do is you can take a sponge, just a little piece of a sponge, and you can dip it in the water. You can use that to fill your holes too if you don't want to use your fingers. But you can just kind of wet it down. Don't use very much though. And see, the sponge kind of soaks it up. And I just put a little bit of water on there, and then I wrap it back up in the clay with the sponge in there. And then you can put it somewhere in your closet, wherever you're going to keep it, okay, until you're ready to use it. But that'll keep it from getting too dry. So just kind of a little bit of a wet sponge, not a lot of water. Use too much water, it causes it to crack or to shrink too much. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start making our Udu drum now. I'm just going to, I have the instruction sheet that you will receive. I'm just going to follow right along with it. So when you're actually at home making it, what you should do, because this video gets really long, is just go step one, watch the video, and then turn it off. Do that step, then go on to step two. Okay? It's really important that you watch the video though, because I think that it's going to help you a lot for this project. Okay, so you will receive for step one. This is build the base. Okay, so we're making an Udu drum. Here's a picture, or here is an Udu drum that one of my students made. However, this one, I think Steve told you about, it's not as round as we would like it to be, and then the top is kind of wide. So we're going to make ours more narrow, and then we're going to make this bigger. This hole a little bit bigger. Okay, so, and you'll see there's pictures. You'll have pictures of different shapes that you can make. Okay, so you're going to receive this bowl. It's a foam bowl with plastic around it. The plastic is supposed to be on it. It's taped on the bottom. Leave the plastic on there. I've had people pull the plastic off before, is why I'm telling you this, okay? So leave the plastic, because what happens by having the plastic on there, your clay will not stick to the bowl. We'll be able to remove it, and it'll also keep it moist at the same time. Okay, so this project we're building with coils. This is the second kind of building technique, hand building technique. Last week we did pinch pots, and this week we're doing coil pots. Okay, so we're basically making a coil pot. So I'm going to show you how to make a coil. Some of you are probably really good coil makers. You probably made like out of Play-Doh or something. Snakes. Basically that's what we're making. We're making snakes. Okay, so you're going to get a lump of clay. You're going to pull off a chunk of it. Start small until you get really used to it. So you have this chunk of a lump of clay. You're going to take it and you're going to hit it on all four sides. So it should look like this, where you see how I've hit it on all, and it kind of makes these like angles. It's kind of like a cube. I don't know if that's what it's called, but okay. So there we go. Got it. Okay. Now the part of your hand that you're going to use to actually roll the coils is your finger. It's your fingers, like the middle part of your fingers. Okay. You don't want to use your palms because it won't roll well. People tend to do that. Okay. So you're going to use the middle part of your actual fingers, and you're going to put it on edge, and you're going to roll, and then you're going to turn it and roll where the points are. and then you're going to end up making it all around. But see how I'm using the middle part? And you start in the center and you kind of roll out. And see right here how it started to get flat? So I stopped, held it up. Now I'm going to try and get that part area round. The goal is for it to be even thickness. But if it's not, it's okay because it looks kind of interesting when it's thick and thin. And the more you make them, the more you will get familiar with how to roll them. Now, if they tend to be a little bit flat, which mine is getting kind of flat in areas, so you can see I'm kind of moving out and trying to make it kind of. So I think I'm going to leave that. You don't want it too thin because this is the base. That's what we're making. Okay, so here I go again. I'm going to hit it and then I'm going to roll it. And you kind of start off. I'm going fast because the time of the video. I don't want it to be like super long. Okay, but I'm going to roll one more out and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so there we go. Okay, all right, so now always on the ends of your coils, you want to make it like an angle, like that. Kind of like a snake's head, I guess. Yep, can you see that? Okay. Okay, and the reason is it all will fit better. Okay, so I'm going to start off making a spiral. Let's see if there we go. And I'm just going to hold it up and roll it, but you can actually put it in your bowl is what you want to do and just spiral it around. That's what the instructions say. Spiral the coils around in the bottom of the bowl. So that's what I'm doing right now. And see how my bowl, and you're going to leave your udu drum the whole time in the bottom of the bowl, or in the bowl. But right now we're working with the bottom of the bowl. But even when you build up the sides of it, okay, so now I just got to the edge, so I'm going to pinch it and make it angular so it fits in there really nice. Can you see how it fit in there really nice by making it pointed like that? Okay, so there we go. You want to make sure that there's no gaps. There's, like you can see, there's kind of some gaps there. So I'm going to squeeze that, and this is my base, okay? So now that I have my base in there, I'm going to take one of my wooden tools that you were given a wooden tool. I got to hold it up so you can see it. But I'm going to smooth it, okay? So go ahead and smooth your base. I'm going to just smooth it and then I'll show it to you. And that helped. It's important to smooth it so it won't crack. And then there's like a thick area, so I'm going to kind of pinch it a little bit to make it so, oops, I think my bowl's gone. Okay, there we go. Yep, okay. Okay, so now my next thing that I'm putting on there is my next coil. So once again, I'm going to put it down and I'm going to smooth it, pinch it down, and then I'm just going to lay it down around it. And I did that, the angle again. And now here I've come to the end of it. I'm going to angle it and smooth it. Can you see how I'm smoothing it on there? Okay. That way I know it's attached good. And now I'm going around and I'm kind of forming it to my bowl. Okay, it looks like I needed one more. Not a real big one. I'm just going to put the coil right in here. Let's see, maybe I'll go a little bigger. Okay, so I'm just tearing off the clay. I hit it on all four sides. Kind of go like that. Then I get my finger tips, not the tips, I don't know what you call that part of your fingers, but middle part of your fingers, what I'm going to call it. And then I just kind of roll until it's rounded and not flat anywhere. And I work my way out. I actually love making coils. I love making everything in clay, actually. Okay. And the more you roll, some people have trouble with rolling, so don't get frustrated. It just takes practice. Just like in everything that we do, if the more you do it, the better you get at it. Just gotta practice. And you get more experienced at it. I might have made my first ones too thin, but I think they'll be fine. But that's about how thick you want to have your coils. Okay, so now I'm ready to put another layer on there. I'm going to start right here where I had angled it and smoothed it in. So now once again, I'm going to angle it so it fits on there real good. And then and then you can see how I'm fitting it so it all fits together. That'll keep it from wanting to crack. Now, if your clay is kind of dry, this clay is not dry at all because it's like you just brought it home and you're doing it like that day or the next day. But if your clay is kind of dry, you might want to put the slip and score like we did our ocarinas last week in between. And I'll show you. We'll do a little bit of that. Okay, so now I reached the end. So once again, I'm smoothing it down, angling it. See that? Okay, so there's that. So now I'm going to take the wooden tool. You can even use that popsicle stick that I gave you. Actually, one more thing I just realized. Okay, so now I'm going to make another coil. This might take a little bit, so just remember, turn it off and turn it back on, okay, for each step. Okay, so I'm going to take another coil, but this is a special coil, so it's going to be really thin. See how I'm making it really thin? And if you can't make it really thin, you could just pinch clay. But I'm making it, see, I made it really thin. And I'm going to put this one right down here in that seam, because that's where the base and the side of the pot meet. So I'm just tucking it down into that spot right where they meet. See that? It's okay if it breaks, because you can always mold it, okay? Hang on, I'm going to bring it closer so you can see it. See that? I just tucked it right in there. Okay, and then you can take your tool, the back side of your tool, and smooth it. And you smooth it right in there so it won't crack. You smooth it down. Okay, so I'm going to do that real fast. I'm going to smooth it in there so I won't have... Okay, you can take your finger too. See how I take my finger? And you can just smooth it that way too. Okay, so the inside, it's going to be really important that you smooth the inside. So I'm taking that wooden tool, the back part of it, or you could use the knife, or I think the spoon, the plastic spoon would probably, yeah, look how good. Ooh, the spoon works great. So you check this out. Ready? The spoon is awesome. Okay, but you want to make sure that it's smooth, that you can't see any of the ridges. So you kind of go up and down, and you get it all smoothed out. Okay, so I just made a bunch of coils here so I could go a little faster for each step here. So, okay, so we're on step 2 now. So build up the sides is what we're going to do. But let's say your clay's starting to get dry while you were rolling out a bunch of coils. Okay, so always remember, if you do roll out a lot of coils and you don't want them to get dry, so put them, you actually would like to put them, I didn't do this, but you should put them in the plastic and keep them wrapped, okay? As you can see, I forgot to tell you, this is a canvas. Each one of you will be getting those this week to be able to roll your coils on, because it doesn't work well to roll on plastic. Okay, but let's say it kind of dried out a little bit. So you can take your underglaze, any color will work, and paint it on there. And then you take your fork, just like we did, slip and score, and it'll help soften it up too, okay? If you need to do that. If you don't need to do it, and then any extra clay that you have, You want to make sure you keep it really covered good, okay? Always cover everything in plastic. I know I keep saying it. Can't really say that enough. The other thing I just thought of too, I wanted to remind you, is we're giving you some new underglazes this week, just a few colors, but you probably have some leftover from last week. So if they're starting to get dry, go ahead and put a little bit of water in there to get them to the right consistency that you'd like them when you paint, okay? So they don't really go bad. You just got to add water to them if they get thick or if they dry out. Okay, but always remember, leave your lids on, okay? All right, so I got the slip and score on there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab I'm going to use my bigger coil, see if I can get further. And now I'm going to, I think that's where I started before. I'm just going to put it on there, and can you see how I'm kind of pinching it down? Can you see that okay? I kind of put it on there, and now you're going to use the pinch method. Not a lot of pinching, just a little bit. So it's, see, I use my left hand is kind of holding it. My right hand is kind of pinching it, pushing it down. Just like, kind of like when you made your ocarina last week, but you're not pinching it all the way. The reason you're pinching it is just to get it to stick on there good. Okay, see how, it's kind of like making pie crust for those of you, if you've ever made pie crust when you do the top. It's just trying to get it. Because right now, if I don't push it down, see, it comes right off. So I'm just pushing it down a little bit to get it to stick on there. Okay? All right. So now, there's where I angled it. So I'm going to grab another one, angle it, and put it right in there. And smooth it down. And just put it on there. And then I angled it right back, right there. And I'm going to kind of shape it how I want. See, you can see. It's all starting to come together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make some more coils and put this on. And I'll see you in just a few minutes after I get step number 2, the sides built. Okay, so I built up the wall some. I wanted to get back on here and show you. Okay, so now I'm going to take my spoon and smooth it out. Take your time. You want to hold with one hand. See how I'm holding the pottery vessel with one hand, the drum, and then with the other hand I'm using the spoon. If I didn't hold it, it would push it out. So one hand holds and the other one, the hand that's holding it is supporting it as I smooth it out, okay? So I'm smoothing out so there won't be any coils showing, and that'll keep it from cracking when it dries and is fired. That's why I'm smoothing it all out like that. Okay, I like the spoon actually. Seems to work good, but you can also take your finger and smooth it where the spoon might have missed, okay? All right, so there you can see it's all smooth inside. Okay. Now it's a little bit lopsided, so that tells me I want to put my next coil on this side here. I think I might start to add a little bit of slip on there because that'll just help. It's kind of acting like glue and it helps it to stick better. You can score it if you want, just score it a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to stick this one on because my coils actually are starting to dry out a little bit. But as I'm going around now, I wanted to have kind of what they call a bulbous shape, a form, bulbous form. So I am going, instead of setting the coils right on top, I'm going to start setting them more inward. Can you see that? How I set it so it's kind of going to start to close in, okay? So that's what I wanted to show you. And I think at this point, let's go ahead and add slip to it, because it'll just help it to stick better, okay? Now you don't need a lot of slip, but see, you can see that I'm going to go all the way around and see how I'm putting it kind of more inward. Once again, there's my, so I'm going to smooth that angled part down like that, and then I'm going to take my spoon and smooth it all out. Okay, so I'll see you in just a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get it all to the point where it's almost closed up. Okay, so now we're moving on. As you can see, I've built it up. I've made it a bulbous shape. I brought it in. So now I'm going to close the whole top up, and I wanted you to see that. It's starting to dry out, so I am going to add some slip here so it'll stick good, okay? All right, so as I put it in there, I've smoothed the inside. And let me keep adding my slip, because that helps it to stick real good without having to push on it too much. Okay, so adding slip, just painting it there, and then putting my coil down, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the whole top up. And so once again, I angle where I finish. I angle my coil, the end of my coil. Okay, so I almost have this. So here we go. I'm just going to paint some more slip and angle my coil, stick it right up on there. There we go. Smooth it down, and I keep going round and round, and there. I got it. Okay, and once you trap the air in there, it makes your structure very strong. If I stick a hole in it, it won't be as strong. Okay, so now I have a choice. I can't smooth the inside of the top, right? So I'm going to go ahead and smooth the top very gently though, but it's a lot stronger structure now that there's no holes in it. The air is being contained. So as long as the air is contained, and if I see some areas that have kind of a hole in them, I can add, see how I just added, like I took off a little bit of coil, I just added on there. That helps too. Okay, so now you have a choice on the outside. You smooth the inside, but your outside has coil decorations on it. So it's up to you if you want, see how I'm pushing it? Because I'm kind of shaping it too at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm smoothing it with my finger, but I can also use my spoon, which I didn't kind of liking the spoon. But the spoon tends to push on it too much. So at this point, if you have little holes, go ahead and pinch a little piece like we did before, like the Band-Aid. In the same principle, you're just kind of adding Band-Aid. You're just closing up some of those little spots. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on smoothing it now. But what I was going to tell you is that, see, I can kind of shape it. What I was going to tell you is that you can leave these ridges if you want. It's up to you, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and decide on how I wanted to finish it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I decided just to smooth the top, and for right now, I'm going to leave these coils on there because I think they'll make a special sound when it's all fired. You'll be able to use them as part of the drum, having those coil decoration on there. Okay, so the next thing is you receive a cup, a Dixie cup. The bottom part of your cup is 2 inches, and that is the size that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and set that on top there. And now, let's see, I gotta find myself. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. So you don't have one of these tools, but actually, you have a pencil. Sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and draw. Do not cut through. Just draw the circle on there. Okay, because that's about the size that you want the hole. Right around that size, okay? And then you can kind of shape it as you go. Okay, so I have these coils here. So once again, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to paint right where I drew. I want to paint the slip on there because I want to make sure that everything sticks good. Okay. And then I'm going to angle my coil once again, and I'm just going to lay it on there. And now I'm making, let's see, we're on step, build the top. And we're on step 4 already. That's good. Okay, so we are making the neck now. Okay, so there I reached that point. I still want to. All this is made out of coils. Here we go. But you do use the pinching method a little bit to pinch it on there. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and angle my edge again. And now I'm going to use the pinching method to kind of get it on there real good. There we go. And then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to push down the edge so the beginning of the rim meets the main part of the pot. Okay. Now you gotta do everything you do, you have to do kind of delicately so it doesn't break it. Okay, and then I can take my finger, kind of smooth it, and there. And now if I don't want those coils to show, which I don't think I do, I'm going to smooth this part. It's a little uneven, so I'm going to add some more clay. Hang on there. Okay, and then I'm just going to add some clay over here and push that down a little bit and add a little bit more. I'm just trying to get it so it's a little more even. See how I can do that. There we go. And I'm going to keep smoothing it. And there we go. Okay, so I kind of have my neck. There's a little hole there. So I just took a little bit of clay, pinched it, and added it. You can add and take away as much as you'd like until you have it how you want it. And you just kind of sculpt it, you mold it. But always remember, see how I'm always holding on the outside. So now I'm working on the outside, so I'm holding on the inside. You always got to be supporting on one, either on the inside or the outside, wherever you're working. Now I'm working on the inside, so I'm supporting on the outside. Okay, so there. I'm happy with that for now. Okay, so now we're going to move on to step number 5, where we cut our holes. Okay, so each of you have a knife. You can take your knife and you can cut it very delicately. See, I'm just doing little cuts. And I'm going to actually cut it in half, I think. Now, if you have like a sharp knife, a kitchen knife at home, you can use that too. That might work better. Okay, so since I don't want it to drop in there, I'm going to grab it and try to get it out myself. There, got it. Okay. All right, so hang on. I got to finish cutting. So if you have a sharper knife, let's see, I have my tools right here. I actually have this tool called a fettling knife, but you can use just like a kitchen knife that's sharper. Go ahead and use that because that'll cut it better for you. And now I have my hole in there for my Udu drum. And I kind of want the top to be kind of thicker because that's the part that you're going to hit, right? Yeah, so you just keep shaping it. There we go. So you can see, there it is. Kind of think about pottery. It always looks a little rough. There's always like a rough stage. So right now I feel like I'm at the rough stage, but I just keep working it. We'll see how it ends up. Okay, so there we go. I can always put some of that slip on there if I want, any color you want, and kind of helps it to smooth it, especially if it starts to dry out. It's better to use the slip than to use water, because water will make a crack, but the slip will just give it moisture and kind of smooth it all out. See, just kind of smooths it out. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now it's time to put the hole on the side. So I'm going to put the hole right about here. So So if you take your cup, you can kind of make your mark, and then you can take your pencil and draw it. Don't cut through, just draw your hole, okay? And then you can take this plastic knife, but it doesn't work as good as I would like it to. So if you do have a kind of a sharper knife at home, go ahead and use it. But anyway, so see how this knife cuts through really nicely. And so would your one at home too. And there, we now have our holes. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to want to kind of, doesn't hold up as nice as, you can let it dry up a little bit so it, and what's nice about this, once you have your holes in there, you can go in and smooth the inside a little bit more too if you want. Okay, so this hole is, yeah, and I'm actually pinching it a little bit to, not a lot, just to even it out. You don't want it to be too thin because it has to hold the weight. Okay, so there's my hole for right now, but I can keep shaping it because it's soft. Okay, so once I get it how I want it, okay, so you could actually now at this point, if I want to, it's kind of soft, but I'm going to put it back in. Okay, so what you would do next is you'd let it just kind of sit, get it kind of how you want it, and then you'd let it sit and dry up a little bit. Mine's a little soft, and then you could take it out of the bowl very carefully, and you can shape it more. And like if you don't want all the rings in there, you could actually at this point smooth it. Okay, but see, when I push on it, it's too soft. So you have to wait until it's harder. Okay, so let it set up for like, just leave it for like maybe 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. You'll know if it's too soft because it'll want to kind of collapse on you, okay? So just let it sit up like that, and then you can shape it more. And then once it's all done, once you've shaped it, then you can go ahead and paint it, okay? So let's say that I have shaped it just so we can move on, okay? I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I kind of like the design of the coils. So I have this extra clay, so I'm going to put it in here. So now the next step, which is step number 6. Is that 6? Yes, 6. Okay, go ahead and paint it. So with the brushes that I gave you and the slips that I gave you, you can go ahead and paint it. But you should let it dry up a little bit because when you add the paint, it will actually make it softer, right? So, and you just can paint it all the different colors you want. You can take a sponge and make patterns in it. Once it sets up a little bit, you can take some of the wooden tools that I gave you. You could carve designs in it. See how I'm carving designs in it? Okay, so you just paint it, and what happens is when I'm carving, I'm bringing the color of the clay body back through. So you'll have the painted part with the clay body, the color of the clay body. You can put dots, circles. You can have fun just making different designs. But you want to wait. Right now it's too soft. So I'm just going to let it set up a little bit. Okay, not a lot, probably like 15 minutes. And then go ahead and paint it. Go ahead or smooth it. Then go ahead and paint it. And then you want to cover it back up with the plastic. When you're all finished, you leave it in the bowl when you're all finished, and you cover it up. You could do this over a couple days. You could make the pot, cover it up, make the drum out of it with the coils, and then a couple days later you could paint it and carve it. Okay, so if you need me, just email me. You know how to find me, and I'm happy to help, and good luck. I'm really looking forward to seeing your Udu drums.